All right. Hello, everyone. We're just giving it another minute before 6:30 our start time, and then we'll get started. I apologize if my camera goes on and off. I think it's due to the weather a little bit. Okay, it is 6:30. So we will go ahead for time's sake and get started. I wanted to just take a moment and introduce myself. My name is Carrie Potter, and I am an educational support coach with Family Matters Parent Training and Information Center. And there is at least one parent center in every state. Illinois actually has two parent centers. So Family Matters covers 94 counties in Illinois outside of the Chicago region. And then FRCD, which is the Family Resource Center on Disabilities, covers 8 counties in the Chicago region. They're the parent center in that area. So I do want to say Family Matters is not a legal services agency. We don't provide any form of legal services. So any information received from us or during tonight's presentation shouldn't be taken as such. Tonight we have Supporting Illinois Brothers and Sisters presenting. I had actually learned about S.I.B.S through Partners in Policymaking, which is a course that I'm currently involved in. And so I reached out and talked to Tara, and she agreed, and the other presenters agreed that they would present tonight. So we're happy that you're all here. And for time's sake, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Tara.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Oh my gosh, I'm so appreciative of you reaching out to me. This is so great to be able to talk to families about siblings. This is one of my favorite things to do in the world. So, I'm Tara Conley. I'm going to introduce myself a little further along with our other presenters in a moment, but I wanted to let you know Supporting Illinois Brothers and Sisters, or SIBS, as we generally call ourselves. Our mission is to provide support to siblings of people with disabilities. So that's all disabilities. It's chronic illnesses, it's mental health issues, it's developmental. So we don't categorize any thing that someone might be struggling with. So in Illinois, by connecting them with information, networking opportunities, and resources in order to enhance the quality of life for their entire family. Just so we all know, we are being recorded. Um, so in the little corner there, I have siblings are just as important as their parents and brother or sister, and it's something that we really believe in, because we believe that it is important to support the whole entire family. And by supporting siblings, we are doing that. So that's why we mention that statement. Um, and we also know that just like parents, siblings need the same information. So it sounds interesting, but we know that siblings need information about their brother or sister with a disability, um, and different developmental milestones, right? So a young sib needs certain information all the way to adulthood. Adults need a lot more information about what's going on with their brother and sister. Okay, next slide, please. So, a little overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to introduce ourselves. I'm going to talk about what's about us as SIBs. What do we do? I'm going to turn it over to the ladies that are going to talk about Sibshops and why they're important and why they help. And a little bit about the Sib shop that they just recently created in their area. And then we're going to turn it over to Nora, who's going to talk about her sibling experience, which really is going to tie everything in that we talk about today. It's going to tie in why siblings are important, why we need support, and why we need information. Then we're going to talk about the ways you can connect with SIBS, and we're going to turn it over to you, the audience, for questions. So I'm Tara Conley. I'm the visionary and co-founder of Supporting Illinois Brothers and Sisters. And I always put visionary in there because one of our first board members kind of captured that for me. Like she said, like, "You're the visionary. You're the reason we exist. You're the reason this organization has come together." And so I like to use that. Like, I'm not a very modest person, and I like to stay in the background, but essentially, that's how people kind of view what has happened. And let me just say this too. Um, oh no, I'm gonna wait. Hold on a second. So I started this organization one because of my brother, and he's my inspiration. I'm older sister to my brother Nick. He unfortunately passed away in 2019, and we'll go into some of the reasons why we do some other things because of that. And real quick, I wanted to talk about my background just so you all know where I'm coming from. But I've worked in the field of developmental disabilities since I was 16. So for 30 plus years, I started in respite, which would be called DSP work now, or direct support professional. And I worked with young children with developmental disabilities. And then I moved into case manager position when I was finishing up my master's. And some of you might be familiar with QIDP, which is a qualified intellectual disability professional. Was there for about 10 years, and then I transitioned into um, individual service coordination position at ISC, if some folks are familiar with that. But the ISC agencies are the agencies in Illinois that really connect folks with Medicaid waiver services and supports. And those are all things, if you have questions about, I can answer later. And I'm going to hand it over to Nora now.
Hi, I'm Nora Handler. I'm one of the co-founders of SIBS and proud to have been one of the first sibling organizations in the country. And SIBS is also a Illinois chapter of the Sibling Leadership Network. I just recently got off that board, and I also serve on the ARC of Illinois board. And I'm a sibling of, I'm one of 8 siblings, and I have 3 brothers with autism, 2 of whom I've lost in the last 6 years.
Go ahead, Alicia.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I am a junior at the University of Illinois, and I'm studying brain and cognitive sciences, and then I'm on the pre-med track, and I am the co-founder of Sibshops at UIUC. And I'm also a cousin who grew up with someone, or I'm a cousin of an individual with autism spectrum disorders. So that's kind of my experience, and um, my experience with that and growing up with someone with a disability. And then with regard to Sibshops at UIUC, we had become official around like 3 months ago. So yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Sophia. I'm also a co-founder of Sibshops at UIUC, which is University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And I have a younger brother who has autism. And I actually used to go to Sibshops when I was younger, and it just really had a lasting impact on me, and I think about it a lot. So I worked with Alicia to bring this organization to our location in Champaign because the nearest Sibshop is over an hour away. So we wanted to serve the southern central Illinois community.
And I'm so happy that you guys have done that because we just don't have enough Sibshops in the state of Illinois. There are many people who are trained, but we need to really help get some others started in their area of the state. So a little bit about us, SIBS. We are the first organization in Illinois dedicated to supporting siblings across the lifespan. Um, and the idea actually came from other organizations. So there are other states that had a sibling dedicated organization. And I said, oh, hey, you know what? We need that too. So it took many, many, many years of research and going through SIB training and finding other SIBs really that shared the same vision and passion that I did to create this organization. So in 2007, and once again, this was going on way before 2007, but we finally became an official 501(c) nonprofit organization. We literally started with 4 siblings. We were 4 siblings on our board. We finally grew to a board of 8. We're down by 2 right now, so we're always looking for folks to have interest in what we're doing. And we're also trying to expand our committees, which we have several of. So SIBS, we bring resources, information, support, and networking opportunities, not only to just siblings, but families, organizations, professionals, right? I'll go into a little bit more detail a little bit later about what that kind of looks like. So why do we support siblings? Why is that important? Well, what we've learned and research has said that siblings have the longest relationship of their lives with each other, right? We have found out that siblings will often have a 40-year relationship with their brother and sister after their parents have passed away. And so that really says a lot. So, in my mind, that speaks to why siblings are not only important, but why they need information and support. We support siblings because sibling experiences through the gamut have often been overlooked. And, it's not really anybody's fault. It's just kind of what has happened. We know that siblings that have, or people that have a disability, they need help, right? We need to help them. We want to support them, but so do siblings. And, we're trying to get the word out to families and professionals that we need to kind of gently involve siblings in what that may look like for their brother or sister, because we never want to force siblings to take part, but we want to gently guide and lovingly hope that they will stay involved for the gamut. Um, the other thing is that the sibling experience is very varied, right? It's all across the board. So as siblings, we have a lot of things in common. Like I can meet another sibling off the street and have a conversation and go, "Yep, yep, get it, get it, get it, get it." And that's kind of how we feel when we meet another sibling. But, there are things that come into play that make it a little bit different, which is why siblings across the board need different information, need different resources. So some of the things are because of the disability. One might have autism, one might have a sibling with Down syndrome. It's different. Those are different experiences. Depends on the number of kids in the family. It depends on the number of disabilities in the family, economic status, where they live. Are they in the city or are they in a rural area? Do they have family help? Do they have family extensions where they have other folks that can come and help? Do they have other resources? Do they have a lot of resources? Do they not have a lot of resources? So that all plays into how siblings experiences are what, right? What I also want to say is um I want to go back and say, even though the sibling experience has been overlooked, I just want you to all know that our online here, we have seen a shift from when we first started in 2007 to now, right? It seems like maybe we got the word out. Families are starting to understand. Organizations are starting to understand. There's more information out there besides us about why to support siblings. Okay, next slide. So this is what we do. This is just in a nutshell. I need to be a little bit faster, I think. So we promote knowledge, and this is what I had said before. So we promote information for siblings, parents, professionals on different resources and topics, such as, so for siblings, we would talk about future planning needs, navigating, how do you navigate the Illinois service system? The way, I mean, I could go into so much detail about this, but siblings come to us with a lot of questions, and we're able to kind of help guide and navigate what they need. Um, and then with parents and providers, we do these kinds of presentations where we inform them, give them information about the unique needs and opportunities that siblings have. Having a brother or sister with a disability, which is really important because, it's not always negative. There's tons of positive things about having a sibling with a disability. There's so many things that we learn and so many things that we do. So we foster community, and so we connect siblings to each other really across the lifespan for peer support. Peer support is so important, just like parents needing to have that peer support about their current situations, siblings need that too. And we do that through when we can, in-person social gatherings. We do a lot of online stuff now since COVID, which has been a blessing, but a curse. It's been a blessing because we have been able to reach so many more siblings across the state than we have ever been able to do, because generally we are located in the Chicagoland area. So it's been nice because we can meet other siblings across the entire state. We also do educational events on different topics that might be of interest to siblings. The last one that we had was on self-care, which I think is really important, especially to adult brothers and sisters that are maybe not already taking care of their sibling, but are, that's going to happen. So it was a good informational resource to give folks to prepare if that was something that was going to be on their table. We advocate and empower siblings. We promote leadership opportunities for siblings in the community. And we do that by inviting people to come on our board, to come on our committees. We are in the process of developing a junior board, which I hope comes to fruition, because I think, this is going to be a really good way for us to kind of get the middle ages where we have the teens to young adults, which we tend to miss. We're very older adults. We welcome opportunities like this all the time to present on sibling needs and opportunities. We have done many presentations and parent organizations, transition fairs, you name it. If we can be there, we really hope to be there to provide information. And then specifically our advocacy and policy committee, they are working to dialogue with legislators to amplify the sibling voice. So, just to get the information out there to legislators that, hey, we're in this fight too. We are partnering with our parents, we are partnering with other organizations. Support for young siblings, because I have found over the years that it hasn't been recognized that we really support siblings across the lifespan. We always have. We tend to look at more as more of an adult organization, which we are not. And one of the reasons for starting this organization was to promote Sibshops, was to have Sibshops, which we have done over the years. We have done them in partnership with other organizations at their request. We have done it with different conferences that have asked us to come and provide that for a one-time event. Um, we have brought the trainer of Sibshops to Illinois 3 times in our existence to provide an in-person training of well over 300 folks. And just back that up a second. The person who actually is the trainer for the SIBSHOP program, her name is Emily Hall, and she's with the Sibling Support Project. And that's a very big undertaking to have that come. It's kind of a costly in-person event, but it has established quite a few SIP shops in Illinois because of that, and we would again still like to see more. Right now, because of COVID, she does provide online training, which is a great opportunity to get your feet wet. And you'll hear from Alicia and Sophia that they did that training, they did the online training, but you don't really get the full aspect of what a sib shop looks like or feels like until you actually do or see it physically. So they'll touch more on that. And one of the other things we do, lastly, which helps provide support for the young siblings, is we consult. Like, we help people get the information they need to become a sib shop facilitator. We want a sib shop in every corner of Illinois that is accessible to every family. People shouldn't have to drive an hour to get to a sib shop. And I guess you'll see why they're so meaningful and powerful, and I have a real passion for them because I've been doing them for so long. That is just so important for siblings, and Sophia again can speak to that. Oh, and I'm gonna turn it on over to my friends Alicia and Sophia, who are just amazing people who have started their own program at their university. Thank you.
So I guess we can start with what is a SIB shop if you're not familiar with the concept and what this workshop is. Essentially, it provides young brothers and sisters with peer support and information in a lively recreational setting. And again, that is brothers and sisters of someone with a disability. So they grew up with an individual with any type of disability. So in these workshops, there are a lot of different goals we like to hit, but essentially we have them meet other SIBs, have fun, talk about the good and not so good parts of having a SIB with support needs with others who get it, play some great games, explore how other siblings can handle like those sticky situations that can be faced by SIBs. Of course, laugh, and then learn about services that their brothers and sisters receive, and so on. And essentially, what we like to do is create this atmosphere that is obviously catered to kids because SIB shops is usually between for the ages of 7 to 12 or like 6 to 12. So that's the age range we try to target, and we make our workshop super fun, but also a safe space for them to have those difficult conversations with those other SIBs and, feel like they have a place to talk about their feelings, emotions, whether they're good or bad. And we're just there to help facilitate those conversations, those tough things to talk about. And we're not there to judge. That's the most important part. We are not there to judge. We're not there to say, hey, you can't say that. Hey, you're not allowed to say that. We're just there to let them speak what they want to speak about, talk about their experiences. And yeah, it's just a great way for them to meet other people who may have similar experiences because siblings may feel like they're the only ones who experience this, and that can make them resonate with some bad feelings and negative things. So this is a really great opportunity for them to just come together, talk about their truths and their experiences, and then have fun, of course. That's the most important part. Next slide.
All right. So Alicia covered some of these already, but some of the goals of Sibshops is to provide brothers and sisters an opportunity to meet other siblings in a relaxed setting. So like Alicia mentioned, our main priority is just giving the Sibs a space to have fun and be themselves, and kind of just put the spotlight on them. Oftentimes at home, they might feel overshadowed or underappreciated by their parents or families because their sibling with support needs need so much support. So in this space, they're kind of the main focus and everything kind of revolves around them. And then once they're in that setting, they can really have conversations about joys and concerns. We had our first Sib shop last weekend and it was super fun. And these kids are like under the age of 12, all of them. Most of them are like 6, 7, 8. And they were able to have like some of those difficult conversations about how they feel when their sibling, does something embarrassing or when their sibling is not having a good time. And it was just really nice to see that at their young age, they're able to communicate that eloquently with their peers. So one of the other goals is to provide opportunities to learn how others handle situations commonly experienced by siblings. So like I kind of mentioned, there was a lot of sharing of what happens when someone's in a certain situation and, them agreeing with each other and asking each other for follow-up and stuff like that. And then to provide opportunities to learn more about the implications of disabilities. So these kids will have siblings with all different kinds of abilities and disabilities. So just having that opportunity to learn more about other people. And then also to provide parents and other professionals with opportunities to learn more about the concerns and opportunities frequently experienced by siblings. So in addition to providing kids a safe space, we also want to bring to the parents' attention some of the concerns that their kids might be having, so that they can, work on things at home and just kind of have a better functioning family. Next slide.
So, a lot of things that like a general population may not really think about or know about is like the sibling perspective. And with that comes some sibling concerns. So these are just some typical sibling concerns that are seen or not talked about as much, such as over-identification, embarrassment, guilt, pressures to achieve, isolation, resentment, anger, fears of the future. These are just some of the things that we were taught to from Emily during our training. And we had a panel of some Sibs talk about these certain feelings that they felt growing up. And it was just really interesting and great to like be exploring this new perspective and knowing about it because I feel like it's not talked about enough. So these are just some things that kind of come up during a workshop. Um, and they come up in a very natural and like caring way. And it's just a place where siblings may be able to talk about, yeah, here's a situation where I do feel embarrassed, or here's a situation where I don't like my sibling. And, this also fosters that conversation for another sib to come in and say, oh, I also have felt that way before, but the way I deal with it is, and then it goes from there. So there's a lot of great things that can actually come from this and like talking about these concerns because they're able to relate to one another with certain things and also like get advice and help. And then again, like the facilitators are there to just like watch and make sure everything's like in a cordial manner, of course, and making sure that they're able to express these things and gain something out of it. Next slide.
Okay, so this is a video. Yeah, go ahead.
My sister is the most lovey, sweet person I know. The laughter from her makes everybody else start laughing. It's good to get that just happiness. My sister is named Elin Magnuson. She is 9 years old, and she has a 1q44 chromosomal deletion. She cannot talk, she cannot walk. I always know that her needs usually are way more serious than mine. I know that I would always want her to have the best experience possible.
Is that fun?
If anyone ever says anything about her that is not positive, I felt kind of like jumping on them. But then I realized not everyone understands.
Anya is really fierce when it comes to advocating for Elin. And I know Elin actually is pretty vocal in times when she's trying to stick up for Anya as well. They can sense each other's feelings just via body language. It's pretty magical. A lot of the times, Anya's life was in flux.
Every time we would have to go to the hospital, our whole lives got uprooted. We would have to figure out, okay, how's Anya going to get to soccer practice? How's Anya going to get to school? All those day-to-day things that when you're at the hospital with your kid, you've got 10,000 things happening. But then you have another child who's also very concerned about her sister. That was the hardest part, is kind of juggling what to do with Anya when Elin was in the hospital.
If you're struggling at a time of stress, you know that your parents already have a lot on their plate and they're already dealing with a lot. And you don't want to add anything, but you also don't want to feel so alone.
When we originally found out about Elin's disability and what kind of detriment that can have on the siblings with a sibling with disabilities, we did not want that to be part of our family's kind of dynamic.
When she went to Sibshops, she was with all of her peers that had very similar situations to her.
At the Sibling Support Project, we believe that every sibling deserves to have access to information and support that empower them to care not only for their families, but also for themselves. The first time I had really the privilege of co-facilitating a Sib shop, I thought back to my own childhood and thought about how lucky I would have been to have had the opportunity to meet other brothers and sisters of kids with disabilities. Growing up, I never knew a single other person who had a brother or sister with a disability, and that can be a really isolating feeling.
For her to have a community where she felt heard made me feel really good that we had a place to send her that could give her that support that's not just from us.
It's almost like she can breathe a little bit deeper. It just opens this door of like, wow, there's other people out there that are like me, that struggle with the same things, but we still have the highs and lows like typical kids.
It's kind of a relief, honestly, to not have to explain in deep detail what my life is like, where everybody has similar struggles to you. Coming to Sibshops has helped me realize that I'm not alone. You just can kind of let go, and everyone understands you.
For Anya, making her flourish in her own environment, not just between her relationship with her sister, but seeing typical kids when they're going through certain struggles, it allows her to see that she has more compassion for everyone else in her own community.
Siblings need opportunities to voice their own concerns, their hopes, their dreams for their future and their siblings' future.
I was concerned in the beginning because Elin was different and I wasn't sure that they would be able to have that sort of close sister thing, but they definitely do. It's been really wonderful to see them become closer and to see Elin really reach towards her sister as a companion and a peer.
Even though she can't talk, Like, she can physically lean on me, cuddle me, and just give love.
Elin says very few words that most people can understand, but one of the words she says very clearly is Anya. So that tells you a lot about kind of how Elin feels about her bigger sister. So many people would just say, how do you do it? And it's just like, well, how do you not do it? Everybody has their own battles, and you just have to, you make it through one day at a time. My hopes for Anya are that she continues to be a fierce advocate for her sister.
Everyone is going through something at some time, and it's important that you're there for them. Even if you don't completely understand it, you make them feel like you are there. Behind the mask, there's probably a lot of things going on and emotions and feelings that need to be expressed in a safe place. In those tough moments, everyone at Sibshops has really been there for me.
We can go to the next slide. So these are kind of the three big pillars of Sibshops. So obviously we have the siblings who attend our workshops, who get to connect, people like Anya. And like we've been saying, the goal is to foster conversations about their experiences while also having a lot of fun. Then we have our families, who are, the parents and siblings of the people who come to our workshop. So we are hoping that they will notice the positive impacts that our workshops have on the sibling relationships at home. And then also that the kids who come to our workshops will feel more comfortable sharing their emotions, not only to their siblings, but also to their parents or guardians. And then again, like I said before, just bring concerns and unique needs to the attention of the parents that might be otherwise overlooked. And then there's facilitators like Alicia and I who host the Sibshops. Like Alicia mentioned at the beginning, we facilitate those conversations. We're not there to judge or kind of advise the kids on how they should or shouldn't feel, but just kind of ask questions and help the kids make connections. And then Erica asked a question about how we started our Sibshop. And then I did answer in the Q&A section, but basically the woman you saw in the video, Emily, she is the one who trains all of the facilitators. So Alicia and I got trained by her in the fall. It took place over 4 weeks. It was online. And then after that, we became certified facilitators. Our Sibshop was registered. And then after the training portion, it was a lot of outreach. So we had to reach out to schools and parent groups to recruit kids to come to the workshop. And then we also had, we started a club at our university so that other people interested in facilitating or kind of seeing how a Sibshop works can join us and then also hang out with the siblings. Next slide.
There's a lot of energy at Sibshops, not only from the kids that attend, but those running the events. The program runs internationally and has been offered in Calgary for just over 10 years.
It works for kids between the ages of 8 all the way through teen years. And these are children whose siblings have a disability, any kind of disability. So this program helps the children who have a sibling with a disability have a place to go that's fun for them. It's just an activity program, but some of the activities include discussion and an opportunity to share their feelings, share their concerns, their worries for their sibling.
The goal of Sibshops is to celebrate the milestones and contributions made by brothers and sisters of those with special needs, which can be hard for parents at times when taking care of a child with those needs. Although they do their best, an organization like Sibshops can really make a difference. And it has for 10-year-old Angela Aljanabi.
it's fun and you can learn a lot of things about your siblings. And that you're not the only person with a brother or a sister with special needs.
These siblings have much to offer one another, and this organization gives them the chance.
We get to play, but we're still learning about our siblings.
Angela's mom, Khadija, says Sibshops has made a great difference in their home life and how Angela interacts with her brother.
She plays with him more, even though there is a big huge of age, but mentally they are close. She's not, if she see me having more time with him, she will say, Mom, I will be doing this and this until you are done. And when I go back to her, she said, I understand.
Sibshops relies on donations to help continue their high-demand programming.
We'd like to offer the program more continuously through the year. There's much more demand for that, so it can be an ongoing running program. So we have that goal of expanding to make it a resource available to parents all year round.
I'm Lisa Wolanski for Go Calgary.
And Nora, you're up.
Hi. I mentioned that I'm one of 8 siblings, and I have 3 brothers with autism. I've lost 2 of my brothers in the last 6 years, which was pretty tough. I'm an older sib compared to the sibs that have been speaking so far. And in my experience, I lost my parents quite young, my dad at 46 and my mom at 68. And so all my brothers lived with my mom when she passed away. And we never experienced meeting any other sibs during our growing up years. And in fact, I never met another sibling until right after my mom passed away. And so this is one of the reasons that I'm quite passionate about how important it is for siblings to be connected as early as possible. I truly can't imagine what it would have been like to have had the benefit of something like Sibshops. I was aware that, especially having a dad that died young, and that my brothers would be somebody that my sisters and I would have to support and perhaps be caregivers for. And when my mom passed away, it turned out that she thought she was all prepared for us to take over for her, but unfortunately she had the wrong kind of a trust. And another complication in my family was my older brother was never diagnosed until his 40s. And so it actually happened that my husband and I helped him get his diagnosis in order for him to get some supports. So there we were after my mom passed away with 3 guys that were living at home, and my younger 2 brothers went to a day program for a couple of hours a day. My older brother, as I mentioned, didn't have a diagnosis, and my mom thought she had things set up, but She did it early on after my dad passed away and kind of wasn't connected herself with other organizations or people that supported people with disabilities. And so ultimately, what her trust did was make my younger two brothers not qualified for Medicaid. And so they weren't really set up for the supports that they were going to need down the road. And we were not educated as far as the system in Illinois and what we should do in order to help advocate and support them. So ultimately, what we did was, for a period of time, we divided up our brothers and they stayed with different sisters. And this was not the way that you would want your family to help your person with a disability, say, after parents passed away. We really were not aware that we could have been at the top of the waiting list. The brothers had my mom never really wanted anyone besides the family to take care of them. But when that happened and my mom passed, we all had our own kids. We lived in different places. And so instead of being able to do what you want to do when you've lost a parent, which is take your own time to grieve and just take care of yourself during that period of time, we had to go into major crisis mode and figure out how we were going to handle these guys who didn't have any place to live. And it turned our lives upside down. And yeah, I know it's not something that my mom wanted for us. And so it's one of the reasons that I was so passionate about being involved in a sibling organization. And one of my focuses as one of the older SIBs is to educate people to plan for the future. And we lost our parents very young, and most people do not think about having to plan for their kids, whether they're disabled or not, and at an early age. I was in my 40s when my mom passed. My older sister, a couple years older than me, we were both in our 40s. The two of us took on the most of it, but my older sister took on the big heavy load, and it was a heavy load we could have avoided, but there was so much to take care of and so much to learn that my older sister quit her teaching job in order to take on what was a full-time job to deal with the crisis that occurred. And it went on for us for well over 20 years as far as finding places for our brothers to live. We actually moved them 5 different times, and sometimes it wasn't places that we would have preferred to have them in, but we didn't always have options. And so one of my passions is to connect siblings early, to make sure that they know other siblings, to make sure that they understand the system in their own state, which can be different. Some of the siblings that we know may live in a different state than their sibling, and it's not easy to move a person with a disability from one state to another. For those situations, you may have to start all the way over, even if you had some supports and things set up. You can't just pop someone from one state to another and get them right back on Medicaid or perhaps, some sort of a group home living. So this really requires some serious advanced planning, and it requires siblings and parents to connect on those issues. And we had talked to our mom about those things, and she didn't want us to worry. And so she kept saying everything's all set up. But it obviously was not. And so what I encourage parents to do is to connect their typical siblings with other typical siblings in any way you can, and also to future plan as early as possible. Sometimes I feel like I'm superstitious, the earlier that you plan, maybe the longer you get to live, is a joke we make, but it isn't such a funny joke at times. And it was an amazing experience. We did certainly get to know our brothers much better, taking care of them. In fact, after our mom passed, we coined the term sister mother, because our relationships with our brothers changed so significantly. And maybe we wouldn't have wanted them to change that much. Maybe we would have been happier to remain more like brothers and sisters than like caregivers and mothers. And that's something that I think SIBS can do a very important job, and the Sibling Support Project and the Sibling Leadership Network in helping people to have the knowledge that they need and have the resources and be prepared for the time that will come for most of us to be able to be much better supporters and have a much better transition as a sibling that becomes a caregiver, or even better, just an advocate. I mean, that's what I believe we were for our brothers. We were advocates, but we were also caregivers, and sometimes more so than we wanted to be. At the time that my mom passed away, I had a teenager, and my husband had a very busy career, and it was very difficult to have that change in my life and in my son's life, where I was gone a lot, trying to support my brothers. And ultimately, my brother Marty lived with us for 1.5 years until we could get him resources, a diagnosis, and an appropriate place for him to live. One of the things that we did that we considered a big mistake was my older sister took all of them in, added on to her house, and they all lived there. And ultimately we had to move them all again. It was a tough thing. And it's this is a very short version of a very long story, but what I always want to encourage people is connect your typical siblings as early as possible and keep them as involved as they want to be, and let them make the decision down the road of what they want to do to take care of their sibling. And that's the short version, and I'm very willing to have anyone ask questions, and also they can send me questions later.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Nora. Nora's story is what got me and so many other siblings in our group on that fast track of future planning. I knew we had to do it, but when I heard her story, I was like, oh my gosh. And because I was the only other sibling. So like, wow, how am I going to handle this? So, okay, go ahead and go to the next slide. Thanks, Carrie. I'm going to just real quick, and then we'll go to questions. So this is how you can connect with Supporting Illinois Brothers and Sisters. There's our website. Please join our mailing list. We have a Facebook group called S.I.B.S Network. This is going to be, between this and joining our mailing list, the best way to get information from us. We also are on LinkedIn, where we share information. Supporting Illinois Brothers and Sisters is the title. And then on Twitter and X, that's our network link. And Instagram, we have that too, a S.I.B.S network. We're still learning on the latter of those, but Facebook and joining our mailing list is a great way to get information from us. And then let's go to questions.
So if you have questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat, or I think you should be able to raise your hand and I can give you permission to unmute yourself.
I know this is a lot of information in a short period of time, and we're always willing to, answer questions beyond and above today as well. I can always be reached. Oh, and I didn't put my email in.
Looks like there is a question in the chat regarding if there's a S.I.B.S in Colorado. Actually, it's in the Q&A.
In where?
Colorado.
So there is I believe there is so we consider ourselves a state chapter of the Sibling Leadership Network, and I believe there is a chapter in Colorado. Yes. So if you just Google Sibling Leadership Network, you'll find their website, and there will be a link where you can find state chapters. And then if you are in the area of Sophia and Alicia's Sibshop, you can find them on Sibshops on Facebook, Sibshops at UIUC, or Instagram at Sibshop, Sibshop, Sibshops, S.I.B.S, SHOPS, UIUC.
If anyone has any questions regarding how we got started, if you're interested in starting your own Sibshops in your area, as well as just questions about Sibshops in general or our certain chapter, you can feel free to send us a message on Facebook, DM us on Instagram, or also email us, which I attached in the chat, but if you can't see that, it is sibshopsuiuc@gmail.com. So feel free to send us any questions if you come up with one later.
Kane County. Okay. It says, is there any sib shops in Kane County? Aaron, would you please email me? I'm gonna type my, because I have to look that up. There is on our website, there is a link to all the SIB shops in Illinois. Now, those are registered SIB shops, but there are other programs as well that maybe call themselves something else. Maybe they're more on the therapeutic end, because while SIB shops are therapeutic, they're not therapy. So, I gave you my info. Please reach out to me and I can help you kind of navigate that and figure out. I have a feeling there's something.
There's another question in the chat box about guardianship.
So I would like to say something about guardianship. Of my three brothers, we had guardianship of 2 out of 3. And that was kind of the way my mom had set things up. But there's so many alternatives to guardianship, and you need to talk to a special needs lawyer. That's crucial, because that is why my mom didn't have the right trust, is that she didn't have a special needs lawyer. I don't think that guardianship is always necessary. And if you can avoid guardianship and go with things like powers of attorney, it can be less complicated to take care of. And so it's something that you should research with special needs attorneys.
And that, to the person who had that question, I certainly can help you kind of navigate that. I'm always willing to have a phone call to kind of work through that. Those are things I really like to help people try and figure out and navigate, because I have a lot of questions before I can totally answer your question. And thank you, Mark. Mark posted the SIB shops near you in Illinois. I'm not that quick.
There's another question in the Q&A on Spanish or translation.
So some groups may, that Letty, that would be something I could help explore with you. I don't know where you're from, but I know in the Chicagoland area, they have had those opportunities. And that that is certainly something that you could request if there is a SIB shop near you. I'm pretty sure, at least in the Chicagoland area, there are some opportunities for that. But again, feel free to reach out to me, and I can help explore that with you. I'll put my phone number into, let's see. Maybe I can't. Real quick, I'll just put my phone number in there as well for everyone. I'm pretty good at finding resources if they exist, so. Yes, Letty. She says, I understand English, but I would like to advocate for those who do not have this opportunity. For sure. Yeah. And we have talked about that in the past. And again, I know that there are programs that exist. I just don't know them off the top of my head.
In Illinois, if Liddy's in Illinois, the Arc of Illinois does do pretty much everything, both in English and Spanish. It's the arcofillinois.org. So that's a good place to reach out for help with people that need Spanish speaking assistance.
I am not seeing any more questions, and we are past 7:30, so I don't want to keep you all. If you have questions after today's presentation, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out to me if you need information, or reach out to any of the presenters from S.I.B.S tonight. They've given you lots of resources and ways to contact them. So we do appreciate you participating. You will get a survey. And there is a question in the chat. We will be archiving, this was recorded, we will be archiving this presentation on the Family Matters website. Do believe I put that in the chat. It's www.fmptic.org. So that should be up tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And so you will be able to access that recording. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out. Yeah, so I appreciate all of your time and your presentations tonight. There was a lot of valuable information that I think is very much needed, and I'm glad that we could collaborate. And yeah, just look forward to learning more from you in the future as well. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.